Hi, hello, happy Wednesday. It is the 14th of September and it is hump day of my week where I am trying something new, 10 cultural leadership insights in 5 days. So every morning a newsletter goes out to my list with cultural insights. I just got a really nice compliment from one of my readers, how much today's lesson resonated, which is the 4-letter word that always tells me there's a problem. And no, it is not a word that would cause a movie rating to go to R. Don't worry. It is a regular old adverb that can tell us a lot. Anyway, those go out every morning, Monday through Friday, and I'm going live at 2:30, right before school gets out here in Chicago, for this series of insights. So today's question that I'm going to answer. So before I start, my newsletter address is at the bottom of the screen, bethmapleton.com. If you want, you can sign up for my newsletter there so you don't miss any more insights. I'll also do some wrap up stuff next week and kind of some links with all the different videos. So it's great to have all these insights in one place to be able to use with your teammates or whoever you're thinking about could use this lesson, maybe some colleagues or someone else in your organization. But today's question, for some reason, yesterday we talked about how many people it takes to change culture. Today we're talking about when did you swing a culture? Both use math, both use numbers. So this is where we're at. So when did you swing a culture? So first of all, what do I mean by swing a culture? I mean, you as a leader are going through your organization, whether that's in Zooms, physically, you're in classrooms, you're in meetings, you are always the leader and people are looking to you for examples. And I find that when people really start to internalize this idea of culture being everywhere, it can become very overwhelming as a leader, as a CEO, because everywhere you go, you're thinking, should I address this? Should I address this? What should I do here? What should I do here? So let me give you an example. I used to pull up to my school. I would park. I get there usually around 6:45 in the morning. And literally from the moment, first of all, to even get to the school, I took the way that took me past the playground so that every day I would see the shape the playground was in, the condition the playground was in, how it was looking. I would turn onto the street. I would go into the parking lot. And as soon as I would get out, I would be thinking about, was there trash in the parking lot? Was the signage up to date and clear? If it had rained the night before, or snowed, actually even better, were the walkways clear for kids, or was it time to do something to make sure that those were clear? My mind was spinning a million miles a minute, which is going to sound really familiar to all of you out there in the leader seat right now. I'd walk into the front door and the front desk clerk would be there. And, is she smiling or not? Are the advertisements that are hung on the door taped neatly or raggedy? I'd walk up the stairs. I'd be looking at, did the custodial service overnight clean up all the sleet and junk so the stairs look nice? I would get up to the hallway. I'd see some teachers in the hall. Did they smile at me? Did they say hello? Like literally, I just named 15, 20 places where culture is manifesting and showing up, right? And showing the values of our organization, showing the values of our school. And in many ways that could feel paralyzing because my God, it's like 6:48 in the morning and there were just like 20 things to look at and the whole staff is there. There's not even a student there yet. Like, what do I do? When do I swing at that? Because you could spend all day reacting, leading the way, responding, correcting. And that's really not helpful because you have other things to do. Culture is usually a part of someone's leadership, but it's not their only responsibility. They want to make sure that student achievement results are there, that kids are learning, that families are communicated with, that it's a safe environment, you name it, right? So in any case, so what's the right answer, right? So clearly the answer to when should you swing at culture is not all the time. Because I just described what would happen and you would probably collapse at 6:55 in the morning in the bathroom. Like, I can't do it anymore. I just am spending all my time and it really feels like whack-a-mole. So if you feel like you're playing cultural whack-a-mole, well, you might be. And that actually may be a sign that you should listen extra carefully to this part. However, the answer is also not neither. So some people feel like, oh my gosh, that's overwhelming. It's so much. Some people want to withdraw into their shell and they want to, it's like, I got to focus. I got to get these results up. I got to get this teacher figured out. We got to make this key hire, like you name it, whatever is your issue of the day. And so they'll kind of just retreat into their shell like a turtle and not want to talk about this at all. And that's also not the right answer because you are the leader. And if you walk in every day and the parking lot's disgusting and people can't get up through the front door and, the signs on the door are raggedy and it has the thing up for conferences that were 2 weeks ago, right? That also is a reflection of your school. And that's also not going to build the confidence that what you need to go in. If the clerk is scowling, if people are being, unkind to others, like these are all reflections. And so the answer is not zero and it's not all the time. So the answer is somewhere between 0 and all the time. And I know some of you are like, give me a number, X times an hour, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to ask you a question, which is, what do you want to spotlight? What do you want to focus on? Because that is going to guide what you respond to. So let's say that in this previous scenario of driving past of my first 3 minutes of the school day, let's say that I was really focusing on a warm and welcoming environment. That was something that I felt like we had some room to grow in, that reflected our values. It reflected being community-based. So I was focused on warm and welcoming environment. So therefore, I might still intake all those pieces. If the playground is a mess, does the snow need to be clear? Like I might still note that is all like coming at me as a human and as a leader of the school who's kind of constantly taking in information. But I am only going to respond or use my voice or my tools or my other follow-up when it's a situation that reflects warm and welcoming environment. So for example, if I walk in and the clerk is like so bright-eyed and smiling and like, good morning, Beth, how are you? I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for making me feel so welcome. That is just what I'm talking about when I say we need to focus on a warm and welcoming environment. Great, give some reinforcing feedback, give some kudos, move up the door. Oh my gosh, I noticed in front that the marquee changed yesterday and it has that really inspiring message in about parents as partners. And that is incredible. And we are so glad. And like that, thank you, janitor, for putting that up. Thank you, assistant principal, for writing those words, whatever it is. Like that is exactly what we're talking about here. That is exactly what we want to do, start this time off. Obviously, there are also opportunities to do corrective action. So if you walk in and somebody doesn't say hi, or the clerk is just very focused on their desk, say, good morning, it's so good to see you. And say, you know what, you have such an important role here. Do me a favor today. Could you just focus on smiling a little bit more as people as they come in, because it is literally, you are the only person they see and it just sets the tone. So I know it's a lot of pressure in this role, but I am confident you are the woman for the job and you can do it. Or, sometimes it's just more direct and simple, right? The marquee outside is off-putting and not so warm and welcoming. We're going to change these 2 words. Hey, janitor, can you make sure that this is fixed by noon today? Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. So there's lots of ways, but I'm only swinging whether it's positive or critical feedback if it is connecting to what I'm trying to drive, which is warm and welcoming environment. And, generally, best practices, which we can't, I'm looking at the time and I'm like, oh, it's been 9 minutes already. Where do I go? Best practice would be that also like you are being really clear with your team about what you're really striving to do. So for example, September is like a natural time of year to really focus on warm and welcoming environment as you get the year started. And so, you can roll that out to team. It's our focus for the month. We're going to work on reinforcing this. We're going to get this. It's going to be so great, blah, blah, blah. And then when you are going through the halls and giving kind of red light, green light feedback, kind of tying to yesterday's newsletter, you're able to do it based on the area that was there. Now, there's lots of questions you might have. How do I know what to focus on? How do I roll this out to my team? What if I think there's so many areas to focus on? What if we're in like a cultural bloodbath situation? Is this a valuable use of my time, right? There's like a lot of different ideas that can be playing here. And so we can't get into them now because it's a 10-minute live, but if you are interested, for the next few days, I'm still enrolling students in my learning lab. So the web address is bethnapleton.com/learning-lab. And there's a ton of information there, but basically this is an intimate PD series. We meet on Zoom 2 hours a week, 4 weeks in a row, and we take on all your cultural challenges. I literally use scenarios ripped from the headlines. We have templates, exemplars, tools. We talk about these issues. There's a hot seat. There's a how do I do this? People can videotape themselves. I respond to it. We role play. So this is really meant to increase the tools in your cultural toolbox, whether you feel like there's like a few of them, but there could be more, or whether you're like, I have no cultural tools. Like, please help me. I could really use this. So this is great for principals, CEOs, EDs, assistant principals, folks who really lead a lot by getting people on board to think about, okay, how do I use that skill set to really like mobilize them get them excited and really get our culture moving in the right direction so that students, family, et cetera, are engaged. So hopefully this is a good place to start. But we have 2 more days of cultural content. So tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern, or Central Time, I'll go live on Thursday and Friday. And I also have my newsletter. So by all means, please sign up. There's tons of information there. I'm always happy to help leaders. And with that, I will leave you. You can see I'm in the kitchen today because I'm going to go get a snack. So I'm going to go get my snack now and hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.